Microsoft is going to make a game console.
We weren't sure how we were going to do it.
Risk was enormous. Microsoft was this dominant company of the era, but success or even survival was anything but preordained.
We started to ship quality games.
And at the same time, we weren't doing anything in the console space.
When Xbox started, I was skeptical. I wasn't sure we should pursue it. You see, we had just turned the corner with PC gaming, and the Internet Gaming Zone was doing really well. We had over 13 million users, and it was the most popular place online to play video games. I thought it was insane that we would abandon our foundation of gaming on Windows to chase the console business. But I knew I was biased. I was one of the founders of Microsoft Game Studios and the producer of the Internet Gaming Zone. I had worked incredibly hard to ship that platform in 9 months. At the same time, I also knew that it was easy to chase the shiny new thing and crash your business. Microsoft was not my first job. Before joining Microsoft, I had worked at a lot of different companies, and one of them was this crazy company that would sell juicers. It was called the Juice Man. The company didn't last because the leadership destroyed it with what seemed like a simple change, moving their business into the retail market. Our original business model was running an infomercial on TV and then talking with the potential customers on the phone to close the sale. Part of what we were selling was a lifestyle. People would call us on the phone, they'd ask us what our favorite recipes were, we'd talk about juicing and getting healthy. It was a high-touch engagement. When we went to retail, that high touch went away. People would see our more expensive juicer next to a cheaper one, and we'd lose.
I took my whole family on long trips like this.
Well, wow, man, where's your family now, Jay?
They're all dead. I outlived them all.
That's the beauty of the juice weasel. Wow, that's incredible.
Whenever you want to make a big change in your strategy, you've got to ask what it's going to do to the business. What problem are you trying to solve? You shouldn't remove the fence before you know why it's there. And this is one of the challenges I think Xbox is facing right now. I'm not sure that their leadership understands what makes Xbox great. I'm not sure they're listening to their fans. They keep doubling down on decisions that make it clear that they've been in a bubble and that all of this feedback doesn't seem to reach them anymore.
Hey everyone, Xbox Game Pass is getting an upgrade. We've listened to your feedback, and now you have even more freedom to choose how you play the games you want.
People were pretty upset about this video, but in fairness, they got it right. I mean, they did give their fans the freedom to choose, and they have. They've left. Not one fan asked for their Game Pass price to be raised by 50%, or for the price of the Xbox to go up by 30%. And this tone-deaf video is further confirmation that the bubble at Xbox is real. Leadership doesn't understand what made them great. That yes-man culture that took over in 2008 has only gotten worse. And this is the result. A crazy price increase for their fans after announcing that Game Pass had made $5 billion. This strategy used to work. It used to be that in the 80s and the arcade days, this is pretty much what they were charging. My husband would take his $1 that he was supposed to be spending on his lunch, and instead of eating, he would go down to the arcade and he would play Pac-Man and Tempest. It wasn't a great deal, but it was the only deal in town. And that isn't the case anymore. Gamers have a lot of choice today. They can spend as much or as little as they can afford or desire to spend. For over 20 years, Xbox was built around a very particular fence, the console. And it wasn't just a piece of hardware. It was the anchor. It was the anchor and the system that locked in loyalty. You had dedicated hardware which created lock-in. With Xbox Anywhere, that no longer exists. You had first-party exclusives like Halo, Gears of War. They drove identity. With no more exclusives, this is gone. Xbox Live turned multiplayer gaming into a hangout for your friends.
Nice one.
Hey, we make a hell of a team.
When you moved out of your dorm room, your friends were still there for their Halo LAN party on Friday. It created a place to play games together, forever locking in loyalty. And Xbox courted developer opinion. They incorporated it into their ecosystem and rewarded third-party publishers and developers. It was a true partnership. Xbox wasn't created to sell hardware. It was about creating a closed loop where Xbox owned the customer relationship and the developer relationship. It was bigger than just one product. By controlling the full stack, the hardware, the operating system, the exclusive content, it gave them the ability to set the rules for players, publishers, and partners. And it worked. It created cultural identity. Xbox wasn't just a brand. It was a lifestyle. It was a point of view. It was innovation and core gaming. It was cool. And the identity wasn't built through slogans. It came from focus. It was real, and it drove ecosystem loyalty. Players didn't just buy games. They built their identity and friendships around the brand. And the more time they spent inside the system, the harder it became to leave.
I've never experienced anything like that in my life. It was genuinely a pop culture event, and I don't say that lightly.
7,000 stores are opening on midnight.
They've been waiting a long time for this.
They were chanting, Halo 2!
Halo 2! Halo 2!
Just felt like something new was going to happen in entertainment.
But not anymore. Now there's no reason to stay. This is an Xbox is destroying all of the brand value built over the years. It was meant to be an inclusive message where everyone is welcome, but it ended up hollowing out the brand because if everything is an Xbox, then nothing really is. For Xbox fans, it feels like they've been kicked out of the house. Go away, says Xbox. You don't need to play here with us. Go find new friends. Go find a new place to play. You can do this anywhere. Have fun.
The choice you make is a chance to feel something new. Good luck. Have fun.
Don't get me wrong, I understand why it feels like Xbox wants to move away from the hardware business. It's really expensive, and frankly, they've never been as good at it as Sony and Nintendo. Both of those companies were always able to cost reduce in the later years and make a profit on their consoles. This was something Xbox struggled with when I was there. So I understand why they pivoted away from the hardware, why they want to move to Game Pass. Who wouldn't want a subscription service delivering endless value just like Netflix? But Netflix didn't grow by spending. It grew by scaling. It kept content costs stable while expanding reach and raising prices. That's how they eventually earned those margins. Xbox, on the other hand, bet billions on new content. But with Game Pass tethered to hardware and Xbox producing fewer consoles, Game Pass began shrinking with the hardware. At first, it looked like the Game Pass strategy might work. But Xbox didn't reinvent by replacing the old engine or the old fence with a better one. They just abandoned what they had and started chasing what they didn't understand. And sadly, it's not like they can rely on their games to solve this problem. Unlike the Netflix model, Xbox hasn't been able to keep content costs stable. Their leadership seems to have forgotten how to make games at scale, and this has led to many layoffs and cancellations. Don't get me wrong, there are good game developers at Xbox, but when you have leadership that doesn't understand or care to cater to the fans of the Xbox brand, how can they understand what you're trying to build? I know that many of them don't love this weekly Xbox drama, they just want to make games. With this latest increase to Game Pass, Xbox threw away one of their last advantages. They were the best deal in gaming. You had access to 100+ titles, day one AAA drops for years. With these price hikes, it feels like a betrayal, like greed over gaming. They've even lost the ever-present support of loyal press like Ryan.
While I recognize that this Xbox console generation isn't over yet, it's almost certainly going to be remembered first and foremost for Microsoft's greed. 2 hardware price increases and counting, 3 Xbox Game Pass price increases and counting, 1 software price increase so far, and tens of thousands of layoffs, as well as multiple studio closures.
It's shocking to me how many of these game companies don't understand that the rules have changed. You can't hide behind the media and your influencers anymore when you make bad decisions. They won't cover for you. And gamers aren't consuming media the same way. With the current economic challenges, they're doing their own research and they're deciding who they're going to give their hard-earned money to. And they're smart. They recognize that the Xbox ROG Ally selling out on the Xbox site doesn't necessarily reflect excitement for the product. It could be due to limited hardware availability. Was it truly hype for Xbox, or simply a lack of units at launch. I believe all of these changes and drama will harm Microsoft's brand as well. When we launched Xbox, Microsoft wasn't a beloved company. The antitrust case with the U.S. Department of Justice was a PR disaster. Game developers were salty because DirectX had overshadowed OpenGL, not because it was better. It got so bad that when I would visit a developer, I stopped carrying any kind of Microsoft-branded laptop bags or wearing any logos. I wanted to avoid the inevitable confrontations about the company. Xbox changed that.
And Sony, oh, they're movies, they're cool, they're awesome. And Microsoft is like, they wear khakis and they're boring and they're Office and they're Windows. And it's like,
I can't overstate Xbox's impact on Microsoft's public image. It made the company feel approachable, fun, and less serious. It sparked excitement across the organization. By day, you might debug a printer driver, but by night, you were gaming on a cool console. And that console was made by your company. Amid recent controversies, that advantage is fading. When the source of your cool factor starts to seem greedy, it hurts your ability to attract and retain talent. If you think mission and perception don't matter, consider Zuckerberg's recent loss of engineers to Elon's xAI. Despite offering $250 million and direct access to Zuckerberg, they still left. They passed on life-changing money because xAI's culture and mission resonated with them more deeply. I can't say for sure where this is headed. It appears that Xbox is moving towards cloud gaming and away from hardware. But it also could be that they're just incompetent, that they just don't understand what they're doing and they're trying things. When I used to work at Xbox, I always found it amusing to hear what people outside the company thought about what we were doing. We were often painted as these supervillains. And the reality was, we were just trying to figure things out. We had no idea what we were doing.
Young, we had moments where we were like, wait a minute, am I the best person to be doing this?
It was definitely a whole bunch of kids making decisions above their pay grade.
you had a bunch of passionate people who weren't necessarily 100% the most qualified people to be doing the jobs, running as fast as they can to make this thing happen.
Ultimately, whether it's a money grab or mismanagement, the outcome is the same. Xbox, and now Microsoft, faces a problem. They need to rebuild trust with gamers and fans. I know people on the Xbox team that are still there, that were there in the early days. They were there when we built all of this value, and they still understand what made Xbox successful. They can fix this, and I'm rooting for them and wishing them the best. With all of this recent backlash, I just hope that Xbox will take a moment, they'll pause, and they'll listen to these team members. Because at the end of the day, they know what to do because they're listening to you.
Microsoft was this dominant company of the era, but success or even survival was anything but preordained.